We're going to talk a little bit about ERP implementations versus digital transformations and talk a little bit about how they're different from one another. And just to summarize, the way I always characterize the two, or separate or differentiate the two being ERP implementation versus digital transformation. So digital transformation is generally more of a disruptive technology, and I don't mean disruptive in a bad way as far as it's going to disrupt or screw up your organization. I mean disruptive in terms of it's completely changing your business model and completely changing the way you operate. ERP implementations generally are certainly meant to improve businesses and provide business benefits, but generally speaking, and this is a broad generalization, but generally speaking, ERP implementations, when you're talking about implementing a single ERP system, they've historically been something that's automating the status quo, or at best providing kind of an incremental improvement to the business. And again, that's not a bad thing, because a lot of us or a lot of organizations here on the phone, you're probably operating with a legacy system that might be 10 or 20 years old or more. And so just simply automating what you've got now could give you quite a bit of benefit, just because your system's so old and you're probably so inefficient in some of those operations. So not a bad thing. I don't want to, in the intent of this webinar, by the way, isn't to suggest that digital transformation is for everyone or that it's better than ERP implementations, but it's just to kind of call out how they are different. And so that's one of the main differences is digital transformation is more of a disruptive technology initiative that's really challenging the overall business model, the overall operational model, and trying to find creative ways to use technology to make the business better. It's also focused on business process reengineering instead of incremental improvements. Again, a lot of ERP implementations that clients hire us for are more focused on let's take those little baby steps to make our business better versus let's take that big quantum leap and completely transform our business, which is the intent generally of digital transformation. The third point is that employee acceptance of new technology instead of transactional training becomes very important with digital transformation. So here's where organizational change becomes critical, even more critical than ERP implementations. And by the way, even with those incremental improvements that you typically see in ERP implementations, organizational change is very difficult, and I think a lot of you on the phone agree with that, because 52% of you said that resistance to change was a pet peeve of yours. So if you have that pet peeve with an ERP implementation, you can only imagine how much of a pet peeve it'll be with the digital transformation, where you're talking about even more major change for employees. And then finally, the last point, and this is a big one, is that digital transformation typically entails implementing whatever technology fits and is going to help transform your business, instead of focusing on or being cornered into one software solution. And I think that's one of the downfalls of ERP systems and ERP vendors in general, is that a lot of times they'll try to force fit their entire solution into your business. And the reality is it may not be the right fit. It may be that their system is a good back office system to manage your financials and your inventory, but you need some other types of systems to help you with things like CRM or document management or business intelligence. Some of those types of functionalities that ERP systems traditionally aren't as good at as other standalone systems. So it really also starts to beg the question of kind of single ERP versus best of breed. Again, looking at the best technology that's out there, whether it's one system for your entire business or 12 different systems for your entire business. And it used to be that having multiple systems was a bad thing, and that means you had disparate systems, disparate data. And that still is somewhat of a challenge, but with technology and integration the way it is today and the advancements that have come along, that's not as big of a deal or as big of a detriment as it used to be in years past.